Hi, this is Danny Rams from Maverick Spirit Astrology, and I am doing Gemini today. I'm covering a whole bunch of information on Gemini Sun, even the placements, and a little bit of the background and constellation information as well. So eventually I'm going to have a timeline for you guys to just click and see, but for now this is going to be a long video. The first thing I want to talk about with Gemini is that it's an air sign. It's a mutable sign. This makes it feminine. This makes it an air sign, making it all about thoughts, communication, and speaking. A little bit of the mind strategy. It works with planning, and it has to do with the third house that has to do with what we think or what our community is like, or this is quadrant 1, so this is all about our private self. So this is self-taught skills. This is stuff that we're taught from our community and siblings and cousins that are like siblings, friends that are like siblings. That's what house this falls under. Okay, so this is the Gemini Sun video that I want to get into really quick about some of the, okay, so the duality is masculine, the element is air, it's a mutable sign. So this, again, in the Bell's chart, it'll be a mind planner or mind strategy. So this is the ways of thinking. Mercury is the ruling planet, as well as the opposites that I wanted to get into, as well as elemental like energies that we work with as well, how to work through them when you're a Gemini Sun, what might be a battle for you. Gemini season this year is from May 20th to June 20th. And I'm going to get into the background of the tarot information regarding Gemini. It's represented by the Lovers card, representing alignments with self-partnerships as well, self-partnerships, and Mercury, which is the Magician, and this sees ahead of the game. This card represents knowing all elements need to be put together, being smart enough to efficiently go into the process. So again, Gemini Suns, you're all about thinking and how-tos, and it's not a manipulation as far as it is like when they do the guinea pig testing, okay? So it's like that has happened, so now what information I have now is that has happened, and that is logical to me that happened. So now when I have to face the same issue again, I'm going to face it, but with the knowing of what has happened. Gemini is a student, but a very smart, excelled student, okay? Air in the tarot cards is represented by swords. So this is thoughts, ideas, and spoken words again, air signs. And then also the sword of truth, the truth that hurts, you know. We have a couple of degrees that we're going to be working with your sun. And first things first, I'm going to get into the Decans and how that all works out. Okay, so the first Decan is if you're, let's see, I wrote this down, here we go. So the first Decan is if your birthday lays from May 20th to June 1st. This is from 0 to 10 degrees Gemini Sun. You are on the cusp of Taurus, as well as the tarot card representing you in your private self is going to be did I not write this down? I didn't write down the exact card. Oh, yes, I did. Yes, I did. Sorry, different piece of paper. 8 of Swords is from 0 to 10 degrees Gemini. This is about feeling trapped and restricted, and you're limiting yourself. So you want to look towards communications with expansion and luck in your higher teaching educational levels. And then also the fact that you cusp on Taurus, this is something meaning like your birthday, if it is again from May 20th to June 1st, this is most likely where the degrees are for you. And this is about you having the knowledge of what has happened, feeling it and knowing the experience, but then also transferring it into the intellect of the community. So you are adding to your community in this particular sun sign. The second decan is 11 to 20 degrees. So this is June 2nd to June 11th. If your birthday falls in there, you're the second decan. This also would fall into the Gemini, what I consider a true Gemini. It's also part of it that is Libran quality, according to the tarot. When you do decans, it breaks everything down, but there's like different ways of doing it, and that's kind of where everything is flowing in together. So I'm trying to piece it all together and put it out. So we have the true Gemini, we have the Libran quality, which is basically you're the Gemini who seeks alignments with partnerships, and you have a very big knowing of what you want and expect in these partnerships and relationships. You also have a very a relationship with self that is very strong as well, your sense of knowing. But this also causes anxiety, because what you're doing is you're knowing and you're knowing and you're knowing, so you're not experiencing because you're kind of on that more determined logical thought process, and that can actually stop you from moving onto adventures or experiences that could become different outings, like outcomes, I guess. The third decan is if you're 21 to 29 degrees Gemini Sun, and this cusps Cancer. So this is June 12th to June 21st. This year it's on the 20th that Gemini season ends. So make sure that you look in your charts to see the specific degree, and it could teeter-totter. So the card, for the second decan is Nine of Swords, and I have to go right back. So it's about anxiety, worry, a reality check, stress, can become a cycle, look for beauty and love in all things. And that was because of the lack of experience. You're not wanting an unknown experience. You don't like surprises. The third decan is the Ten of Swords. So again, that's from 21 to 29 degrees Sun in Gemini. You are most likely the different Gemini, because here we're going with, you're cusping a Cancer, you're cusping, or in the decans, it's associated with Aquarian energy, which is the revolutionary, but it's also the one that takes that long journey. It's also the humanitarian of the group. So this portion of Gemini is the one that hits rock bottom and lets all of the negative thinking cycles happen. And it's really important for you to do your shadow work, because this is where you can see the cycle tip in your favor. And again, logical thinking Geminis are on it. But to let go, that's where that square to Pisces kind of comes in, to let go. Like, Geminis are kind of not known for their actual, they have a control issue, because it's anxious, it's anxiety to them, actually, to not know what a permanent outcome is. So that experience in itself kind of loses. So you see a Gemini, when you see a Gemini and when we see a Gemini are two different things. Okay, so Gemini to themselves are very much intelligent. They use their logical thinking. They can communicate. They're very social butterflies. They like to communicate. They like that energy. When we see Gemini to us is more of someone who might perhaps be scared of doing that that jump, like they don't know what's down there, so they might not do that. But because of that, you are then reliable more than you think, or they say that Geminis are. So Geminis are actually not known for their loyalty, but they're loyal. And here's how you know they're loyal to you. A Gemini Sun is loyal to you if they're sharing in your energy and they are exactly being truthful to both you and themselves in that moment. The Gemini we don't see or don't need to even experience is how they feel about the energy of the day, because they're taking in a lot more mind stimulation here. So they can actually have more headaches than anyone. They can have more thoughts of just like, so Gemini is mind strategy. So when you are using too much of your mind strategy, you need to like relax a little. And the opposing energy here is the spirit. So anytime there is a mind, we already know the opposite is the spirit. And this works because of astrology and using the Bell's chart. So with the idea here that spirit is the fire signs and air signs are the mind, water signs are the soul, and the earth signs are the body, okay? And that's kind of how we let the elements flow together. And that's why we can pick up on what is exactly not being read. And I'm going to go into the quadrants really quick for the Gemini Suns now. So this is about quadrant 1. If your sun is in your 1st to 3rd house, this is your private self. And if this is quadrant 2, this means it's your sun is in your 4th, 5th, or 6th house. It's your private relationships. Quadrant 3 is if your sun, your Gemini sun is in your 7th, 8th, or 9th house, it's about public relationships. And if it's in your 4th quadrant, which is the 10th, 11th, and 12th house, this is your public self. So where your sun is placed in your natal chart here, now we're going to look at the quadrants. And again, quadrant 1, private self. Quadrant 2 is private relationships. Quadrant 3 is public relationships. And quadrant 4 is public self. Now, 1 through 3, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about your private self if your sun is in Gemini, okay? Now, we're going to take away the decans. So that means we're going to take away the degrees, and I'm going to tell you what a Gemini sun is like in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd house, regardless of the degrees, okay? So then you need to envision as well that the imagery and information that I'm giving you is like this, like a point, and then you need to go around that point and see what from that word is more you, and then you can actually work with it. I love to give Gemini mind games that are efficient for their learning, and they're so intelligent that they can piece together anything that you need pieced together. Really, they can. They're self-taught skills, they're intelligent, they can literally self-teach themselves. And if you ever have your sun in Gemini and your, I would say if you're in a 12th house sun in Gemini, a lot of people would question your intellect or how the way that you think. And that is something that is very common as well amongst those that are of Gemini and Cancer risings, where they have that Gemini in the 12th house feeling. So you can see in astrology how many stories come together, but they ravel down to our perfect picture, which is our natal charts. And then we have to also put into what are the transits out there as well. So these are like pictures on top of pictures, and then we kind of like are putting them all together. I'm really being very honest about all of my research the last 20-something years. My intuition, I'm a channeler. I like to really dig deep into astrology as well, because it kind of connects me to the spiritual side in a way that I feel like I'm reading some like a really good Bible almost. It's very spiritual for me as well. 12th house planets are very important to me as well as having some planets in your first house and the 11th house. The 7th house, if you have planets there, those are always where you kind of need to understand that in this lifetime, you're going to be reflected a lot. You're going to see a lot of mirror things, like things that happen to you happen to other people, and things that happen to other people are then going to happen to you. So you need to work with that energy. If your first, second, or third house, Sun in Gemini, you're someone who's private self. You keep your intellect to yourself. You keep your ways of communicating to others to yourself. The way you communicate is to yourself as well, like very important. Self-talks are very important. But I also see a gift of you being able to speak and heal, because across from the pond, you have the 7th, 8th, and 9th house, and that energy is really going to be pulled into your public relationships. So this is something that you can see as if you need to engage in some emotional thought processes, kind of fix and piece things together as you go. And then once that connects, you're going to go through this wonderful tunnel of emotions that are connected to you fully. Because Gemini can feel that maybe they're so smart that they know that their feelings are not their feelings, that they're someone else's, because they're so disconnected from that actual, like, spirit soul, okay? And the reason that they're a little disconnected is because the strategy of the mind is Gemini's sun. So this is where, like, the mischievous, even mysterious ghosting of the Gemini suns will come around, okay? So then, with this also happening, you have to think of the way that you can either let things turn in your favor or not. Gemini, if you have your sun in the 4th, 5th, 6th house, this is your private relationships. This could perhaps be something that you yourself need a duality against your public self. Like, what are you hiding, or what are you not creating fully? If it's in the 4th, 5th, and 6th house, you like to keep things to you and your group only, but that energy is saying that you need to pull and be the different one. You need to be the different one, the one that makes that journey to the top, okay? If your sun is in Gemini in the 7th, 8th, and 9th house, again, this is the 3rd quadrant that has to do with your public relationships. Am I a Mrs.? Am I a doctor? Am I a healer? What are we? What am I? How did I get here? So we have the partnerships, we have the shared assets of the higher self, and then we have the transformation house, basically, of the 8th house here, and then we also have the experience, the faith journey that comes here too. So you are more of a possibly, I would say that you are of, like, the knowing of your spiritual access. That you are someone who is very much not completely 100% in tune, but perhaps, like, on the way to, like, you develop to make it perfect, so you can get the time frames, because Gemini is very present. It's a very present, mindsets are present, okay? So when you're working with mind strategy, it's a present type of a vibration, being in the present time. So then, for you guys overall, I would just say, like, it's about a faith journey, it's about experience, it's about cycles of death, rebirth, regeneration. And then also with that 7th house Gemini, you really have to think about, who am I in this relationship? Like, do I have to always be in a relationship, or do I find myself always by myself? Like, where is I in the relationship? If your sun is in Gemini in the 10th, 11th, or 12th house, again, I'm going to separate the 12th house for a minute and just go from the 10th house to the 11th house, which is the what you are known for, your job description, basically career. It's also your outer energy that you freely give the world, your reputation. And if you have your sun in the 11th house, so in the 11th house, it's more future connected. It's about you being yourself more when you're probably past 35. I would even say at times 35 seems to be the going age for that 11th house feel. And I think it has a little bit to do with Saturn, but also it has to do with Uranus as well. So this is the revolutionary self, okay? With that 10th house sun, you are someone who is very much in tune with what you do, how you work, and it does not scare you to have to start at the bottom and work your way up. You use your intelligence the whole time. You are very, communication is very clear, and you don't hesitate to make any, you try not to make any mistakes. Like you're trying to be perfect, okay? But then if it's in the 12th house and you have all of that energy here too, but with the 12th house sun in Gemini, people are more projections of you. Like they constantly are projecting their worries on top of you, and you can feel the difference. You're very spiritual. You really need to tap into spirituality somehow just to have that self-undoing kind of cured into a self-enlightenment, okay? Whenever we're feeling down, we can drown ourselves. So with your sun here, you want to make sure you're not drowning, and you want to pull yourself out, and you want to be your own savior. Remember that you have a life jacket on, and you don't know who's driving, and you don't know where you're going. You know you're in a storm, but you really have to think about things in a different way now, because with that 12th house sun, again, you're getting into the soul's realm, the spirit's realm, things that are unknown. So you can tap into that. And if you choose to have your sun tapping into the other side, that's, again, this is a plus and a minus, I guess. So this is my sun in Gemini. I'm going to go through a couple of other things. I did want to say I have something about the constellation here as well. First, I just want to say, again, with the Magician, the positives with Mercury being your ruler, well, it's your sun's ruler, okay? Because we don't know. If you're a Gemini rising, then your ruler is Mercury. If you're a Virgo rising, Mercury is your ruler as well. So manifestations, creations, and inspired actions are to be taken. You are Merlin here. And in the negativity, you can become Jafar. So there's a disconnection from personal power and manipulation. So you have to see that there are ways for you to be a con artist, but you also want to carry on the knowing of that just because you can manipulate energy doesn't mean it's always in your favor, okay? And you always want to know and be aware of consequences that are gathered here. Numerology, 1 is the beginning with the individual. The Mercury is about messages and communication. Mystical forces, the seer of far be ahead of its time. Intuitive. This is like genius intuition, okay? So this is your actual knowings intuition. Grasps on the truth, working all with elements and nature and spirit, versatile. So that was for you guys. This message is more about working with yourselves as far as knowing and being in your truth. Again, with the levels of energy that is working with you and against you is just to know, yeah, I'm the magician here, but even the magician gets tired, right? And needs a rest and needs to recharge. So that's like a private reminder for you guys as well. Recharge. There are things to recharge here. Lovers, Gemini, again, this is about the relationship, alignments, harmony and balance, the disharmony and imbalance that could possibly take place. Learn how to inhale and exhale, because that's all about the masculine versus feminine energy as well. Letting out and letting in. Alignments and communications are here. Again, the 3rd house is all about community and self-taught skills, your siblings as well. The duality here is about the way that you adapt. There's communication adaptions. There's different ways you do things and thought processes that are the duality too. So you you may want to experience something, but you're going to understand everything that has to do with the dangers first, basically. And it's not every Gemini Sun. It is just most likely in this scenario for a Gemini Sun during this time. I would say you are definitely looking at that list because there's a lot of risks that have been taken, and that gambler in you right now is not feeling like completely lucky. It's feeling like these are time-earned karmic gifts that are being rewarded to you, and that's what you should really just be feeling like, is that time is rewarding you for your journey. With the constellation Castor and Pollux. So Pollux is immortal, and Castor is the human brother. They're identical twins. This has to do with Greek mythology, sorry. So they are identical twins. They're inseparable. They look and act alike. Castor is an excellent horseman. Pollux is a great fighter. Castor was killed in battle. And this had something to do with a ship. A ship was sailed and, I don't know, killed in battle, okay? So Pollux is again, like the one brother that is, like, immortal. So his father is actually different. So his father is Zeus. Pollux's father is Zeus. Castor's is a king. Yeah, I'm not gonna try, sorry. I have Mercury retrograde 12th house. You'll learn a lot about that. All right, so Pollux is pleaded with Zeus. Oh, he pleads with Zeus, and he wants to bring his brother back. So Zeus agrees to immortalize Castor and Pollux if they lived half of their life on Earth and the other half in the stars of the heavens. And so that is where your Gemini constellation it comes from. They always say that when a sailor sees the Gemini constellation, that they know if there's two of them, that it's going to be a very prosperous journey. And if they only see one, that's a foretelling of bad luck. So I thought that was really cool to include with you guys as well. Think about having like a devil and an angel on your shoulders with all this consciousness that you are awakened to. Both good and bad benefits, and using your energy is very necessary. Yes, we do know that, Gemini. The mental strength, intellectual ambition, and leadership skills, if you have you may be, so here was the thing, is that the leadership skills are there. You're just scared to experience them because you know what the goods and the bads are. You know the pros and cons. And sometimes you may let those cons outweigh pros, therefore the experience. All right. Self-liberation, enthusiasm, eager to learn. Gossip is actually a way of you to defend yourself. It's almost if you're too conscious here. So you can become that feeling of, are they talking about me? Are almost like, are they, I'll put it to you this way. If you think that they're thinking of you, then they're thinking of you. If you are like, whatever happens, and let that happen. Let that energy happen. Self-aware, defensiveness, honesty, quick-witted, but also you take into, again, the criticism and the defensiveness. So this is more about you becoming more self-aware of your defense and of like, again, you're quick-witted. So you're able to kind of manipulate energy here as well. But it wants you to hold it to an honesty level of self-awareness of what you are doing. So the more honest you are with your quick wit, there you go. Energy. Rebellion against truth-seeking, rebellion, truth-seeking, assertive, you can be a little bit of a control and judgmental freak here, okay? A control freak and a little bit judgmental of others, the way that they think in their processes as well. So that's just something to think about as far as like how harsh are you judging people, or how much control do you actually think that you need? When are you going to let other people help you? When are you going to let other people kind of like judge you without you being so sensitive to it, that energy? Now, again, with the Gemini Sun, this is constant moving energy. It's the mind strategy. Your sun is here, so you know the mind strategy. That is exactly where you are. Looking forward in your chart, looking for any aspects. We are going to go through that really quick with the Sagittarius opposition as well. I have a couple of, actually, I think I'll make a whole new video on the aspects to Gemini after this, since it's kind of long.